Another area your amazing emergency fund can help in is a job loss or a job interruption. We don't know these days, and with the companies the way they are, if we'll have a job tomorrow or not. So if you get a pink slip or something comes up and they have to let you go, this can be a buffer to your next job or your next position. Okay, you're in for a special treat today because I'm going to tell you about my amazing emergency fund. Stay tuned. I'm Adrian from Adrian's Avenue, and I talk about things that are rich, relatable, and relevant that will help you make better decisions. Let's jump right into this one. Whether you call it an emergency fund, a security fund, a rainy day fund, whatever you want to name it, it can be amazing for you in those tight situations, as it has been for me. Let's define what an emergency fund is. And it's that money that you set aside for emergencies, that money that you set aside for life events that you don't want to have to go into debt for. It could be various things happening to you, but it could be an amount of money from either $1,500 to start out, or it could be 6 months of your expenses, monthly expenses. It could be a year of your monthly expenses. I've heard people set aside even 2 years of their monthly expenses, depending on what they want to do or what they see in the future coming along. So there are certain things that can help you decide how much you need to set aside, and we're going to talk about all of those. But it is amazing. The first thing that you'll realize about your emergency fund is that it will give you a sense of security, financial security to a certain extent. You don't have to worry about little minor bills coming up and maybe it's not written into your budget, and so you have to dip into your emergency fund for that. And if you have enough in there, it's all covered. You don't have to leave sleep over it at night. You don't have to worry about it. The money is there. So it will give you a special sense of security. Say, let's take, for instance, your car expense. You have a flat tire or a battery. Battery these days, I just bought one. They're upwards of $250 just to get a battery, a replacement battery for a vehicle. And that is just a normal vehicle. It's not a luxury vehicle or anything like that. And we know when it comes to your cars or your house, appliances and cars have certain dates on them that things will expire. They're man-made and the batteries are going to go dead, and you're going to have to change your tires out. There's certain things you're going to have to do. But if you have money in your emergency fund and something happens, say you get a flat and something happens, you can get the flat fixed or you can get the tire replaced. Tires are expensive too. So this will give you a sense of security that you don't have to worry, where am I going to get this money from? Am I going to have to go into debt for it? Am I going to have to put on a credit card? Where am I going to get this money from? No, you can go to your security fund or your emergency fund and pull it out, have that covered, and keep rolling. Now, before I go too far, let me distinguish an emergency from a normal maintenance type of issue. When it comes to your car, we know, like I brought up the tires, that the tires will last a certain amount of time. When you go to get your car serviced, they will probably tell you you're going to need tires in a year, you're going to need tires in the next 6 months. The tread is getting low. At that point in time, you need to start saving for those tires because it's not an emergency if you know it's coming up. If you don't know it's coming up, such as if you have a flat and you just ruin your tire, you have to buy another tire, that's something you didn't know about. So that qualifies as an emergency. Buying a new pair of shoes because they go on sale, that's not an emergency. So let's define an emergency from a regular maintenance type of deal. If your refrigerator goes out completely, that's something you didn't know about. If the AC unit is on one leg and you're hearing it and you're knowing soon it's going to go down, you need to start saving for that because you know it's coming. That's not an emergency. But if something happens and all of a sudden it goes out, or you need to get the motor replaced or some compressor replaced or something like that, that can qualify as an emergency, and you can dip into your emergency fund for that if you don't have those funds on hand to go ahead and make that maintenance. So I just want to be sure that we know the difference between an impulse buying, such as a pair of shoes or a purse that just went on sale, and an actual something that is an emergency, that we know the difference. Another area your amazing emergency fund can help in is a job loss or a job interruption. We don't know these days, and with the companies the way they are, if we'll have a job tomorrow or not. So if you get a pink slip or something comes up and they have to let you go, this can be a buffer to your next job or your next position. So you don't have to, your bills and still can get paid, your monthly expenses can still get taken care of. And that's why you build up 3 months, 6 months, a year of expenses in that fund, so that you will go down to bare minimum of expenses for the month and continue to pay that until you can find that next job. So it can become amazing and let you get sleep at night and not worry about how are my bills going to be met when I don't have a job. This is not an emergency, but I still want you to hit that like button and that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on the latest information as it becomes available to you, and share this one out. Someone may need to hear about this amazing emergency fund. Now, this is something that we all will undoubtedly get hit with some point in time in life, even if you're healthy, and that is medical expenses. And these are things that we don't know that may happen, that may come up on us. You could be playing basketball totally healthy and break something or sprain something. You got to go to the emergency room. And even if you have health coverage, most of the times there's going to be a deductible, or there's going to be some amount that you still have to cover yourself. Health coverage really doesn't cover everything, in your insurance plan. There's some things that you have to pay either as a copay or a deductible in order to get the medical attention that you need. You will eventually have to pay for that. So, and it could be something with dental, it could be something with your eyes if you want to get eye correction surgery, or if you want to get new glasses or new contacts. There's very few insurance plans that I know of that will totally pay for everything, unless you're maybe with the government or the military. That could be a situation there where it could be paid for. But medical expenses are something that we probably all will endure in time. So an emergency fund is amazing when it comes to paying that difference, that amount that you need to be healthy and remain healthy. Another thing about the emergency fund is that it does let you take advantage of being more flexible when it comes to other opportunities or investments or things that you may not would take a chance on if you didn't have the backing of your emergency fund. Again, let's not confuse the emergency fund with a planned event. In the event that you do want to leave your job and pursue your passion or go to another position, this is not the function of the emergency fund. I would advise you to go ahead and set more money aside in that gap. Let's say if you think it's going to take 6 months to a year to start up this new business or go after your passion where it's making you money, go ahead and set up 6 months, a year's worth of expenses, so that you won't have that to interfere with emergencies that may come up. But because you're meeting your 6 months or year of expenses, there still may be medical emergencies, there still may be unexpected expenses that come in, and this is what your emergency fund is set aside for. But if you plan to leave the job, if you plan to pursue your passion, go ahead and set up a different fund for that, and let's not confuse the two. I'm real big on using the emergency fund as purely an emergency fund. I can almost predict your next question. Well, Adrian, how much should I have in my emergency fund? Well, I would say that depends. I think, and this is my opinion only, you should start out with $1,500. Sometimes you will hear people say $1,000. $1,000 has been out there for probably the last 15, 20 years. With inflation into play and everything else, as expensive as things are, I say at least $1,500. Start out with that and then build up. It depends on also if you're single or married. If you have two income coming into the household, it may be only 3 months of expenses. What type of job? Is your job one that is fairly secure, such as nurses? Or is it something that may go in or out? You have to be the judge of that. If you're single or running your own business or have responsibilities of dependents, you may want to save 6 to 9 to a year's worth of expenses. I have 6 months worth of expenses saved for my own situation. So I would say gear between 6 months and a year. If I were to do something different, I would probably save up to a year's worth of expenses just to be secure that everything is going to turn out fine. While we cannot predict life, we can go ahead and try to plan or pre-plan for things to happen. Just know, even if things don't happen, the money is still yours. You've not given it away. So, by all means, that money is still yours, but at least it's there if you need it. My emergency fund is amazing because it has saved me on several occasions from dipping into certain funds that I didn't need to go into and from blowing my budget when things happen that were unexpected. It is amazing, and hopefully I've given you some reasons to at least think about it and move forward with making your emergency fund or your security fund as amazing as mine is. Oh, and by the way, just in case you don't know how to save for your emergency fund, check out my last video that shows what you need to do to save more money.